So I'm here in conversation with Francesca Drago about her experience with virtual exchange and UNICollaboration. Francesca, may I ask you to introduce yourself first and tell us what you do and where you work?
Thank you very much, Lorenza. So I'm Francesca Drago, and I come from Sicily. I live in Catania, in the south part of Italy. I work for an organization that is Scuola Centrale di Formazione, that is a national association in the VET context. So it's a VET national association. And I work—
Can I ask you, sorry, Francesca, to interrupt. For those people who don't know what VET is, V-E-T, can you spell it out for us?
Vocational education and training. So it's a part of the education. Mostly oriented to learn about a profession, about a practical work in many kind of fields that could be from graphics to automotive to wellness, food and catering, and so on. And yes, I work with virtual exchange. I started then to work to do a facilitator in Solia programs, and then I started to explore how to transfer the virtual exchange methodology in vocational education and training context. So actually we discovered that virtual exchange can be a very useful methodology for learning and for sharing different perspectives, also in vet schools context.
Can you explain a bit more? Because normally at UNICollaboration, we focus on training and in how to set up a virtual exchange in higher educational institutions. You've just highlighted the non-formal context, but can you tell us a bit more about how you are using virtual exchange in your context?
Yes, so actually we started to use the methodology during the pandemic because our learners hadn't the possibility to travel during the pandemic, but we explored the possibility for them to exchange and to meet virtually other learners, other students from other countries. And this was a successful activity for them because they felt less alone at home. During learning activities, they had to stay alone, you know, and at home. And this was incredibly hard for them. So for adolescent people, in particular, for very young people, it was really, really hard. The fact that they could meet other peers, 15, 16, 17 years old, from other countries and exchange how they felt, how they were facing the pandemic in their country, the issues, of course, of that period, and also about their culture, but about their music, about the food, about the traditions. This was very successful for them, and they felt less alone. Also, practicing the English language, because they they had to speak in English in some way. So this was very successful from the point of view of the linguistic dimension, because they should and they had actually to speak in English, and this was really successful. So they felt better, because not only they felt less alone, but they also discovered that they could speak in English with peers from other countries without any difficulty.
So Francesca, you started off during the pandemic bringing young people together. Moving on from that, you've also used examples of facilitated sessions with your teachers in the context of non-formal education. Can you explain what happened after that and how the facilitated sessions inspired those teachers to move forward?
Yes, yes. Actually, as I told you before, we started with the pandemic, but now we use the virtual exchange in a blended model, in blended activities with physical, geographical mobilities. So actually now virtual exchange has a little bit changed and has become something more connected with preparatory sessions and knowledge session about other students, about other cultures. So we try to connect, we always connect a virtual exchange to a physical mobility. So it's something that helps us to do blended. Teachers are very, very, I'd say, they learn a lot themselves from this kind of methodology because they started to cooperate. So teachers from different countries, from different vocational schools started to cooperate to plan together a program for virtual exchange. They propose to their students topics, and they have increased lot of knowledge from the point of view of methodologies, of innovative methodologies, and also from the point of view of technology, because, you know, technology is very, very important in virtual exchange, and the digital tools, digital solutions for virtual communication are very important. So teachers had the possibility to exchange also their knowledge on how to use in an efficient way the technology for this kind of innovative methodology. And this was, of course, very successful as well. So teachers feel more connected each other.
Thank you, Francesca, for explaining how you've been using virtual exchange in your context. Is there anything else you'd like to add to what you've said?
Yes, I think that, as you know, with the pandemic, European Commission recommended to all vocational schools to start with the blended mobility and with the virtual mobility, even if we know that in this context of education at formal or non-formal level, virtual mobility, virtual exchange in particular as methodology cannot substitute the physical experience. But it can help. It can help a lot, and it can help in particular way the level, the dimension of the soft skill and of the key competencies, which are very, very important to be much more integrated in the labor market, in the labor context, and at school itself. So actually, our students now feel less shy. They trust themselves a lot, so much more than before, because now they are just started to get used not only with the technology but also with relationships, and with the fact they have to stay in front of the webcam and introduce themselves, speak about themselves, speak about their country, their culture, and not only about their culture but also about that vocational stuff, because they exchange also technical stuff during a virtual exchange, and this makes them more
Confident?
so they trust, self-confident.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lorenza.
All this virtual exchange and collaboration and online collaboration, how is it funded, and what's the context for undertaking this sort of thing?
The context is that of the Erasmus program, the Erasmus Plus program. So we use the funds of Erasmus Plus program for physical mobilities, and we connect to physical mobilities a part of preparation, virtual collaboration, or follow-up collaboration inside and within the program of Erasmus, so inside within the Erasmus context.
And what advice would you give an educator or a teacher who's thinking about doing virtual exchange, is it something that you would recommend, and where do you start?
Yes, so actually it's important first to know the methodology and to think on how the methodology can be adapted and can be revised to the context. So we try to imagine on how to adapt it to the vocational education context, to the formal and non-formal education in the VET context. And we readapted it. So actually is possible. It's possible because virtual exchange is very, very flexible, has methodology and very transversal. So you can adapt it very, very, very easily. And then you can choose the context where you can use it. Also in blended mobility for students, for example, who benefit from the Erasmus program, you can connect the virtual part with the physical part, so you can do blended. And it's a good way to do blended mobility in this historical moment.